What if I told you that motivation isn't some magical spark you're either born with or not, but instead a code your brain runs like software that you can hack? Imagine this. You set an alarm for 5 a.m., promising yourself you'll wake up, exercise, and finally start working on that dream project. But when the morning comes, you hit snooze again and again. Hours later, guilt eats at you, and you wonder, why can't I stay motivated? Here's the truth. Your brain isn't broken. It's wired for survival, not success. But once you understand the science of motivation, you'll know exactly how to trick your brain into action, even when you don't feel like it. And today, I'm going to show you how. But first, let's open a question that might just change your life. What if motivation isn't about pushing harder, but about pulling the right levers inside your own brain? Part 1, the myth of motivation. We grow up believing motivation is like lightning, sudden, powerful, and unpredictable. You either wake up inspired or you don't, but science tells a different story. Researchers at Stanford discovered something fascinating. Motivation is less about emotion and more about neurochemistry, specifically a little molecule called dopamine. Now here's where it gets interesting. Most people think dopamine is the pleasure chemical. Wrong. It's actually the anticipation chemical. Your brain doesn't release dopamine when you achieve something. It releases dopamine when you expect a reward. So here's the loop. Motivation isn't about achieving the reward, it's about chasing it. But here's the bigger question. If motivation is a chemical loop, how can you hijack that loop to work for you instead of against you? Part 2, the brain's hidden trap. Picture this, you're scrolling through TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube Shorts. Hours fly by. You weren't motivated to work on your goals, but you somehow had the energy to binge endless videos. Why? Because your brain is wired to release dopamine every time something new, shiny, or surprising appears. That scroll isn't harmless entertainment. It's a slot machine in your pocket. Every swipe is a pull of the lever, and your brain rewards you with a hit of dopamine. But here's the trap. Dopamine is finite. You burn it all on distractions, you have nothing left for your real goals. Now the curiosity deepens. If the brain can be tricked into wasting motivation, can it also be tricked into creating it? The answer is yes. Part 3, the motivation switch, how to trick your brain. The first secret lies in something scientists call dopamine bundling. Imagine you hate running, but you love listening to podcasts. If you only allow yourself to listen to your favorite podcast while running, your brain starts bundling the boring task with the rewarding one. Over time, running becomes less painful because your brain now associates it with pleasure. This is motivation trick number 1. Pair what you need to do with what you love to do. But let's go deeper. Your brain also has something called the habit loop. Cue, routine, reward. Break that down and you'll see the blueprint of every behavior you've ever had. If you want to trick your brain into motivation, don't focus on the entire mountain. Focus on the cue. For example, instead of saying, I'll write 2,000 words today, say, I'll open my laptop. That tiny cue, repeated daily, sparks the routine. And once the routine is in motion, the brain naturally chases the reward. So the trick is simple. Shrink the goal until your brain can't say no. But here's the bigger question. If motivation is built in small sparks, how do we turn those sparks into a wildfire that sustains us long term? Part 4, the dopamine ladder. Think of motivation like climbing a ladder. Each rung gives you just enough leverage to reach the next one. Step 1, immediate wins. Your brain thrives on fast feedback. Checklists, timers, and progress bars trick your brain into releasing dopamine every time you make a micro win. Step 2, delayed gratification. Once you master micro wins, stretch the loop. Reward yourself not instantly, but after consistent effort. That's how you train your brain to stop chasing only quick dopamine hits. Step 3, intrinsic fire. This is the top of the ladder. Here, the reward isn't chocolate, Netflix, or even money. The reward is the identity you're building. I don't just work out, I am an athlete. I don't just write, I am a writer. When your brain ties dopamine to identity, motivation stops being a task and becomes who you are. Now here's the big reveal. Motivation is not about energy, it's about identity. But that raises the final question. If identity is the ultimate source of motivation, how do you build one strong enough to carry you through life's hardest storms? Part 5, the identity shift. Let me tell you a story. A man once smoked a pack of cigarettes a day for 20 years. One morning, his daughter looked at him with tears in her eyes and whispered, "Daddy, please stop. I don't want you to die." In that moment, he didn't quit smoking because he had willpower. He quit because his identity shifted from "I'm a smoker" to "I'm a father who protects his daughter." That's the science of motivation at its deepest level. When your reason is bigger than your resistance, the brain rewires itself. And here's the twist. You don't need to wait for tragedy to spark that shift. You can create it today by asking, who do I want to become? So let's close the loop. Motivation isn't random. It's science. It's dopamine, habit loops, bundling, ladders, and most importantly, identity. You can trick your brain into action by shrinking goals, stacking rewards, and rewiring identity. You don't have to wait for lightning to strike. You can build your own storm. And now, I'll leave you with this final challenge. Today, don't wait to feel motivated. Do something small right now that tricks your brain into starting. Because once you start, momentum takes over. Remember, your brain is programmable and you are the programmer. If this inspired you, hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more stories that will rewire your mind for success, because your future self is waiting for you.